right, you guys have done some distribution and you're about to come up with something that looks a little bit new, but it is totally the same. And it is this. For whatever reason, this type of a question right here very often stumps students like you guys, but it doesn't have to, right? So you guys look at this and a lot of times you'll start doing like, oh yeah, it's like a b squared and then 3 squared, so it's b squared plus 9, right? That's not going to be how it works. The square doesn't distribute. If a number is in the front, right, we call that a coefficient. If it's out in the front, then you can distribute it. That's what we've been learning. But if it's in the back like this, we do not do any kind of arcs because this is an exponent. It's a little 2. It's a tiny 2. It's an exponent. It's not a coefficient. So what do we do with this? Well, you got to use your logic skills. You guys know that a square means that you multiply that thing by itself 2 times. That's the whole point of a square. If you don't know that, you should go and review. We've got a whole thing on exponents. You can figure it out. It's totally chill. No big deal. Just let your instructor know, right? But if you guys know that, this little tiny 2 means that it is squared. It means it is that thing times itself twice. This is a notation that we invented in math. So when you have something like, 4 squared, you would do 4 times 4. If you had 9 squared, you would do 9 times 9, right? That's what that means. 9 times itself 2 times. 9 times 9. In this case, it's this entire thing squared, b plus 3 squared. So what are we going to do? We're going to write it out. Always write it out. Always write it out. If you don't write it out, I guarantee you're going to get b squared plus 9. You're going to get it wrong. So don't do that. Write it out like this. b plus 3 times b plus 3. Right? That's what that means. That's what the squared means. These two things mean the same thing. You got this and it's squared. This, same thing. b plus 3 times itself. b plus 3 twice. Cool. From there, then you can go and you can do your, these arcs, and then you can do these arcs, and then there you go. You get the whole thing, right? b squared, 3b, and then the other 3b, and then the 9. Awesome. As another example, a minus 6 squared. What is it going to be? We're going to write it out. We're going to write it out. You have to write it out. Writing it out is one of the steps. Don't not do this because this is important. You have to write out this step, and then you can do your arcs. Boom. There we go. There's all of our arcs. Why is that important? Because if you didn't write it out and you think, oh yeah, it's just a squared plus 36 because it's a squared and then a minus 6 squared, that doesn't work, does it? You have a squared and then you have this minus 6a and then you have this other minus 6a and then you have the plus 36. So there's going to be an entire term in the middle here. This obviously simplifies to, negative 12a or minus 12a. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, by the way, we have a whole short curriculum on combined like terms. Go check that out. But yeah, if you don't write it out, you are going to miss this middle term every single time. Trust me, I've seen it for many, many years. All right, one last example, x plus y, the quantity squared. X plus y, quantity squared. How do we write this out? Well, we're going to write it out first of all. And it's going to be like this, and then we can add in all of our arcs, all of our, rainbows or, cannonballs, whatever projectile thing you want. And we're going to multiply it all out. And again, here we have those middle terms, this xy from this one, and then this xy from this one here. If that's not familiar to you, by the way, I know that this is like a y times an x, but generally we just write these in alphabetical order. Also, when you simplify, we have like the x squared term, kind of on the left, the y squared term's usually on the right. Pretty much everything ends up being roughly alphabetical order when we do it in math. That's just by convention. There's not, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a convention standard. Okay, awesome. So when you get questions like these where it has the square, you are going to write it out first. You're going to write out the thing times itself. One parentheses, another parentheses. This thing, x plus y, parentheses, x plus y, parentheses, is the same thing as x plus y, the quantity squared. Write it out first, then you can do your arcs. Ready, set, practice.